The RTI Act came into force in the year 2005, and since then it has been the epitome of transparency and accountability in our country. But recently, what has happened is that the RTI Act and on the other side is the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules. They are at contention with each other, as the epitome of transparency and accountability, that is RTI Act, is not going in line with the DPDP rules of the government, and the recent amendment in the DPDP rules that will affect the transparency and the corruption procedure in the RTI Act is what is raising the eyebrows all over the country. And the RTI activists and the opposition parties are not going well with the amendment that has been recommended in the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules. And now, with regard to the public authorities' personal information that can be asked by the citizens of India, and the RTI Act gives this power to the citizen of India and has empowered the citizen of India in a way like no other. This clause of the RTI Act is under the scanner with regard to the amendment that has been proposed under the DPDP rules, and that is what we will be looking today. Hello and welcome to the in-depth series section of Drishti IAS. I'm Aisha, and in today's episode we will be talking about the RTI Act and the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules and what the DPDP rules amendment talks about, which the RTI activists, civil societies and the opposition parties are not accepting or are not trying and are not accepting well. So the topics that we will be discussing today is the amendment that has been talked about with regard to the RTI Act. What is RTI Act? What is the DPDP rule talking about? And what is the point of contention between the DPDP rules and the RTI? What has been the evolution process of RTI in India? And about the right to privacy. Then in the end, a prelims MCQ topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 2, that is polity section, with regard to bills and acts. So first of all, let us talk about the news. So few of the news that talks about the RTI Act. So that is, civil societies urge government to roll back amendments weakening public accountability. RTI Act amendment won't reduce transparency. And then again with regard to the RTI destruction. Now, as of now, what is happening is that, let me just tell you, on one side is the government, on other side is the opposition parties, civil societies and RTI activists. Now just understand this point, because this is little tricky and little difficult to understand. So the main point of discussion is the RTI Act. Then there is DPDP rules, that is Digital Personal Data Protection Rules. Now there is one section under the DPDP rules which has been proposed, and it says that if the rule or the section under the DPDP rules comes into existence, then it will deal with the transparency clause or the accountability clause under the RTI Act. Now I will tell you in detail about what the whole process or what the whole issue is all about. But before moving forward, Drishti IAS Mukherjee Nagar classes has now moved to Noida, and the admissions are open for both English medium and Hindi medium. In case of any query, give us a call at 87501, and this is with regard to the IAS GS Foundation course covering both prelims and mains. And there is one more additional features for the online students who are studying on with the Drishti Learning app. For the IAS GS online foundation course, the artificial intelligence feature has been added, and the process of studying has been made faster with a new approach, and your studies will be made more smarter. So there are 3 sections under it which you can take advantage of it, that is AI quiz, AI summary and ask me anything. Under the AI quiz, you can ask any MCQ or any question with regard to the topic that you are studying. Under the AI summary, you can get the summary of the lecture which you are seeing, and under the ask me anything section you can ask question with regard to the topic, with regard to the lecture or anything else, and you will get the answer of it. Now moving to the topic, let me tell you that I just told you that the main point is with regard to the RTI Act, and then there is a DPDP Act. So these two are the main points under it. So the discussion around the Digital Personal Protection Act has intensified as it is going to be implemented soon, and the opposition parties are not accepting it, and with the opposition parties, the RTI activists and the civil societies have also joined in the protest with regard to the amendment that the DPDP rules will bring when they will be implemented. And the opposition parties are saying that the section 44 clause 3 of the DPDP Act must be repealed as it amends the right to information, and people will not get to know about the corruption which has been going on. Now let us know about that what the issue is all about. The issue is about the RTI Act, as RTI Act is right to information. Right to information is with the citizens of India. So the citizens of India through the RTI Act can ask about any information with regard to the public authority. And when we say public authority, it means that any body, any institution, any organization that has been found or that has been formed with regards to the Constitution of India or has been made by the act of any government, be it central government, be it state government. So any public authority, questions can be asked by the citizens of India, and this has empowered the citizen of India that the people can ask if they feel there is any discrepancy going on. Like one of the very famous examples of the RTI Act is the Adarsh Housing Society scam or the 2G spectrum allocation scam. So these are few of the scams which came out in the public because of the RTI Act. And now the most prominent characteristics of the RTI Act is the transparency clause and the accountability clause. Transparency clause is that, understand this, now someone is a public authority, and like for example, a highway project is going on, and the project cost has been told to people that it is for 1000 rupees, 1000 crore rupees. And now people think, or any citizen think that there is something is wrong in it, and they feel that the cost is around 500 crore rupees. So the person can file the RTI and can ask for the answers. And now imagine that in return, the answers which he or she receives says that the estimated cost is around rupees 700 crores. So this is where the RTI plays its part. Now the estimated cost is 700 crore, while what the officials have said is around 1000 crore. Now where is this 300 crore rupees gone? Now this is how important RTI is for the people of India, and also with regards to the transparency and the accountability process in India. Now going by the corruption aspect or the transparency aspect or the accountability aspect, RTI Act has a section, and that section is section 81J of the RTI Act. And this section 81J of the RTI Act talks about that the government cannot share someone's personal information unless, it says that under the RTI Act, someone's personal information cannot be shared unless. Now there are two exceptions under it, and if that two exceptions are taking place, then the personal information can be shared. Otherwise, the personal information cannot be shared. And these two exceptions are connected to public activity or public interest. So if anything is with regard to public interest or public activity, then the information can be shared. And even if the right to privacy of any individual will get violated under the clause of public interest, then also the information can come out under the section 81J of the RTI Act. So I hope this is clear. that the information cannot be given unless there are two aspects of it, that is public activity and public interest. If it is under public activity and public interest, then the information can be shared. Now comes the DPDP Act, that is the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. It talks about protecting people's personal data and privacy. And under the new rule of the DPDP Act, it talks about that government can no longer share personal information at all without consent. This says RTI Act information cannot be shared unless two clauses, but the DPDP rule says under any circumstances at all the information will not be shared unless the person gives his or her consent. And the two exceptions under the RTI Act have been removed under the DPDP rules. So the public interest and the public activity exceptions has been removed under the DPDP Act, and at any condition the information will not be shared without the consent of the individual. So the point here is that the two exceptions under the RTI Act has been removed, and the clause that has been added is that the consent of the person is required. If the person will give the consent, then only the information will be given out. If the person does not give the consent, then the information will not be given out. I hope things are clear. RTI Act, DPDP rules, and this is the rule, or this is the change that the opposition parties, the RTI activists and the civil societies are opposing, because they are saying that this clause of non-sharing of information will deal with the transparency accountability clause in a very negative sense. So under the RTI Act, the information can be shared, but the DPDP rules, the new rule, the information cannot be shared. This is the whole news. Now let us talk about the RTI Act. So RTI Act is right to information. It means that the citizen of the country has the right to get the information which he or she wants of the public authority. And this RTI Act came into force in the year 2005, and this is with regard to the freedom of information that a citizen has the right to accept. Now going by the side of the RTI, so there are four pillars of the right to information, and that is that it empowers the citizen because it gives the citizen the right to access information and participate in governance, and participation in governance is also one of the major aspect of the good governance. Then second comes it promotes transparency. It ensures that government work in open and visible way to the public, and if in case the citizen or the public has any query, they can ask. Third is accountability. It makes government officials answerable for their actions and decisions, so they can actually say that they have taken this decision because of this point. Then comes next, and that is corruption. Now corruption is, it helps expose and prevent corruption practices by making information accessible, and the examples that I just gave you, that is the Adarsh Housing Society and also the 2G spectrum. Now let us talk about that how important RTI Act is in running the society or in running the government with regard to good governance. Now when we say good governance has certain characteristics of it, and how RTI also helps in leaning with those characteristics. So first and foremost is the accountable, and we just studied that the public authorities becomes accountable to the citizens with regard to the actions and the decisions that they have taken. Then transparency clauses also, we have seen that one of the pillars of the RTI is transparency, then that is responsiveness, because when a person files RTI, then he or she is entitled to receive a reply back. Then equitable and inclusive. Inclusive is because it helps in making the citizen understand that he and she is also a part of the governance. Now efficient and effective follows the rule of law, participatory, obvious, and then consensus. Now basic funda is about that RTI makes the citizen of the country feel that the person is a part of the democracy. That person has the right to ask for the questions that they have in their minds. Now, going by the RTI, now RTI, under the RTI, the chief information commissioner is there and the other information commissioners is there, and then there is Central Information Commission at the central level, and at the state level there is State Information Commission, and at the Central Information Commission there is a Chief Information Commissioners, and then there is other information commissioners, and the number must not be more than 10. Then there is, according to the section 12 of the RTI Act, the Chief Information Commissioners and the Central Information Commissioners must not exceed the number 10. So they are a multi-member body, and the RTI finds articulation as a human right because they go in line with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Then there is International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Then there is International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. And India has also enacted the Freedom of Information Act in the year 2002, but because the act lagged few of the major aspects, so it did not work well, and the RTI Act replaced the Freedom of Information Act, and it came into force in the year 2005. And according to the Raj Narayan versus Uttar Pradesh government, the Supreme Court declared the RTI as a fundamental right under the Article 19. Now, going by the right to privacy, because there is one clause under the RTI Act that the information cannot be shared until unless two exceptions, but if the right to privacy is dealt, but it is the public interest is getting damaged or harmed by it, then under the RTI Act, the information will be given out in public. But the DPDP rules changes will protect the right to privacy of a person. So the right to privacy is, according to the Puttaswamy judgment, the right to privacy or privacy to be an integral right of the right to life, that is Article 21. And in the year 2017, the KS Puttaswamy versus Union of India case was ruled unanimously by a 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court of India, and the clause which came out was, the right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part to the right to life and personal liberty under Article 21, and as a part of the freedoms guaranteed by the Part 3 of the Constitution. Now, Part 3 of the Constitution talks about the fundamental rights, and Article 21 is also a fundamental right to life and personal liberty. So, the challenging point in this was that the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar scheme. So, the Puttaswamy judgment came, and the challenge was under this, that the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar scheme, and while challenging the Aadhaar scheme, the right to privacy point came up. Now, about the DPDP rules, that is the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules. So basically, the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules talks about the protecting citizens' digital personal data while fostering India's digital economy and innovation. When we say digital personal data, it can deal with your DigiLocker, it can deal with your personal information that is stored online or in a digital format. Now, when we say privacy or protecting digital personal data while fostering India's digital economy and innovation. Now, when we say privacy or protecting the digital information, what does this mean? It is, the privacy means information that needs to be kept with oneself, and the person do not want that information to be shared by anyone else. That can be a person's medical history, that can be a person's finances, so it can be anything that the person does not want to share with anyone else. Now, under this is right to data protection. So this also empowers the individuals to control their personal data, including right to access, correction and erasure. And there is a very important clause under this, then that is the data localization point. And data localization point means that keeping the data or the sensitive data within the territory and not letting that information move out of the territory. Then the regulatory authority under this is the DPBI, that is for compliance and grievance handling. And if we talk about the data processing and consent, so it requires explicit consent for data processing with clear consent forms. So this gives more power and this gives more value to the privacy of a person. Now, in the end, a prelims MCQ, and like always, you people need to tell me the answer in the comments below. And the question is a PYQ of the year 2018. And the question is, right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty. Which of the following in the Constitution of India correctly and appropriately imply the above statement? So that is Article 14 and the provisions under the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution. Second is Article 17 and the directive principles of state policy in Part 4. Third is Article 21 and the freedoms guaranteed in Part 3. And fourth is Article 24 and the provisions under the 44th Amendment to the Constitution. As it is a PYQ and we have already done the PYQ series, I expect you to give me the right answer in the comments below. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep subscribing to the channel. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.